from the start. We are a completely paperless company. We are 100% digital. Any one of my trucks you go get in right now, there's probably not even a pen or piece of paper in any one of them. It's wild. So I came from the world of everything is pen and paper, and it drove me insane because like I knew there was alternatives out there, and I didn't know what those were, but I knew there was some sort of digital towing platforms that like I don't have to have handwritten invoices that the drivers get their greasy fingers all over and you can't read their handwriting
Mhm.
and or we're sitting along the highway and we got to take a credit card. Well, hold on, we got to call back to the office with the person's credit card. It was just a crazy thing and it drove me insane, but it was how my dad and them did it. That was how they ran their stuff because back in their time there wasn't a thing of technology. So when I got our light duty trucks, I put my foot on the ground with my brother and I said, these things will not move
Oh
until
yeah.
we have a dispatch system. I want to be proactive and I want to start efficient. I don't want to be running on paper logs for 3 or 4 months and then kind of start seeing what works for other people and that type of thing. So we were exploring towing apps and all of that, and we were using one. We used it for about a month, and I just wasn't a fan of it. I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't smart enough to run it. The guys couldn't figure it out. The biggest problem was it was just like, here it is. Here's our software. See how it works. So one day I was driving and I was listening to the Tow Business podcast, and I seen Shelly was interviewed by Brad and Jeff. And I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. So I click on it and I'm listening to it, and she's talking about TRAXERO, and I'm like, here's another I didn't even know about you guys until that podcast. So then I think it was on like a Saturday or Sunday. I think I texted
Probably.
Shelly. I was like, hey, I'm so sorry for bothering you. Yes, I'm like, I'm so sorry for bothering you, but call me Monday morning when you get in the office. So
Hmm.
we set up a time. I believe it was Rocco first, and then I got passed on to Nick. And I was blown away from the start because I was like, yeah, do you guys have like a free trial? And he's like, no, nope. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, how do I figure out? And he goes, like, he would not even release the app to me until I 150% knew how to operate it. And
Yeah.
like, so I was sold from day one. I mean, it was just like the onboarding process was huge because I'm a question person. I ask a
Hmm.
million questions because I want to know the why of everything. So the onboarding process was huge. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm sold. This is what we're going to use. And
Yeah.
it's so user friendly that I always laugh that a monkey can do this. Like a monkey can operate the system as bad as that's whether that's a good or bad thing. I think it's
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
I
And for
think
those
it's
of
a
you
great
listening,
thing.
Nick and Pierce are part of our customer success team. And, when he says that the mobile was not released, we want to lay a fantastic foundation of understanding of all the bits and pieces of the core of what you're going to be using. And so then we just kind of progressively open up different other areas to make sure that you understand instead of just throwing it all at you, you figuring it out. We want to make sure you understand everything. And Jason is a very high energy person.
Yeah, well, no, that's definitely, I mean, and that was a huge thing that I liked about it was because the platform we were using before was here it is. Let us know what you think. And I was like just clueless. I had no idea how to run anything. I had no idea how I couldn't even figure out like how to do like add information to calls where on your guys' end with Traxero, it was like, no, we're gonna walk you through every step. That way, as soon as this is released to you, you are so comfortable running this that you may have a few questions here and there, but you know what you're doing. And that's been how much you can customize it is huge for me too, because I have it set up that our drivers have to post photos before they can even close out the call.
Love
So,
that. Mhm.
Yes.
and the other thing
And
is
that's
I have like
customizable. Yeah, that's customizable.
everything is customizable. So
Yes.
like I have it set up that certain accounts that I do work for, they require a PO or you'll never get paid. So I have it set up that that call cannot be created without that PO being there.
Like you can't go to the
I
next field unless the PO field
you
is
right.
entered.
You can't even dispatch it without that PO being there.
Perfect.
And that's huge because once you start getting to the point we are, at first it was just me doing everything. I answered the phones, I dispatched, and I ran the call. Well, now
Mhm.
we're growing, and now you have more layers of people involved. So these things filter through hands, and now either myself or Liz are answering phones, myself or Liz are doing dispatching, and then it's getting sent to guys. And so it's like as much as we can eliminate those small things that we can forget because it's easy to forget, but those things that we can forget can be the reason we don't get paid. that's huge. So like, there's accounts, as far as like the POs, and like I require all of our guys, any impounds, I require them to take 4 photos before they even touch the vehicle. So one from each side, because anybody that's in the towing business knows if
Mhm.
you do an impound and the police don't note that the bumper's cracked, well, when the person comes to pick up their car and they see that
Mhm.
the bumper's cracked, guess whose fault it is? Even though it's been
Mhm.
cracked for probably 5 years,
Mhm.
it's your fault.
Oh yeah,
So,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep.
and that's like huge, like on like, and that's been and that has legitimately saved me, I would say, thousands of dollars over less than a year.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Because I can sit there, like, we had a gentleman, a really, really nice gentleman come in a couple months ago and said that we scuffed his wheels and we broke his bumper and this and that and the other thing. And I just kind of chuckled because I was the one that did it. So I instantly knew, and I said, well, hold on, sir. So I opened up our dispatch system on the computer and I showed, you guys have a damage report on there. So I know we use the damage report. If there's damage on a vehicle, we click the little damage report and you snap a photo. It takes literally 3 seconds. You snap a photo and you just punch in real quick, cracked, scuffed, whatever it is, whatever the damage is. It's like they're pre-noted in there. Like all you do is just click it. It's not like you even got to type anything. You just click what the damage is.
Mm.
And yeah, this gentleman came in and was trying to make some waves, and it was pretty simple for me to turn my computer around. And I said, well, actually, here the photo is time stamped and everything else. And it's like, nope, you're not yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
I
it.
would love to
So
have been there.
I gotta know,
and
what was his reaction to that? Was he just like, oh, never
well, they
mind?
I mean, people that are in the towing business that are listening to this know that those people backpedal. They're just looking for,
Uh-huh.
it's everybody else's fault, but their own, that
Of
they got
course.
the DUI or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, driving under suspension.
Yeah.
So, but then the other thing that's been gigantic for us is the timestamps on
Yeah.
everything.
Mm.
So, and this goes with the maps. So like one of my primary drivers, he's not from this area. And so he doesn't know all the roads around this area. So I can't just say, hey, go to road Y and Z, because he doesn't know where those roads are. So your guys' system that with the maps on it is huge, because when we get a call from local law enforcement, I can just say, because that's how they'll do it. They'll say, well, we have an accident at road X and road Y. And it's like, well, can you give me the nearest address? And
Mhm.
99.9% of the time, they'll give you the nearest address. We can punch that right in our dispatch system. That way it gets that driver within, a half a mile to where the wreck is. And but what's super nice is when the guys are using the maps. So, and I don't know if this is how it's set up. This is just what I've noticed. If I click go on a call and I use the maps to lead me to that call, which is Apple Maps or Google Maps, whichever you use,
Mhm. Sure.
as soon as I pull up on scene, it automatically notes me on scene. And then like I don't even have to click on scene. It automatically, however the satellites are, I'm not smart enough to know how
Yes.
it works.
It just knows you
It
arrived.
it knows I arrived, and it,
Yeah.
it automatically notes that. And then as soon as we start rolling, whether we're there for 10 minutes or 3 hours, as soon as we start, I would say get within a half a mile from where that incident was, it'll pop up loaded. So it notices that you're moving and it'll say, do you want to pop up loaded? And then as soon as we pull into our impound lot, it timestamps it as dropped.
Wow.
Well, anybody that does law enforcement calls, and when you have to sit in a meeting and you have maybe another company on the other side of that meeting that's not a fan of you and doesn't like you and potentially tries to do anything they can so you're not on that rotation list.
Mm.
It's super nice when you can sit there with printouts of every call you've ever done. And you can be like, well, no, my drivers were dispatched. The call came in
Mhm.
at 10:58. They were on scene at 11:15. They were loaded and leaving the scene at 11:45. They were back to my lot by 12:30. When you
Mhm.
can sit there and you can produce every call log, that's huge. That's huge for
Mhm.
Wow.
somebody like me that goes through the battles that I go through.
Yep.
Mm. We had the
Indisputable evidence.
yeah.
Right. It's huge. And other people know this as well that are in the towing industry. You may be on scene for 30 minutes and then you're standing there next to the deputy or the trooper and he grabs his radio and goes, oh yeah, hey, Kellers are on scene. Well, now the dispatcher notes it. Like, and it's
Mhm.
like, no, I've been on scene for 35 minutes. But it's
True.
if you can have a contingency and you can have a backup, you have more dog in a fight type of thing.
And for those that are listening, what is the name of the software that you're using? I don't think we mentioned that yet.
Mm-mm.
No, so I use Dispatch Anywhere
Okay.
and it's great. And the other one is the request service tab that we have linked with our website. That is through
Yes.
the Dispatch Anywhere. That's been a kind of a unique one with the the local like body shops and repair
Mhm.
shops.
So someone goes on your
So
website, requests a call, it pops up digitally into Dispatch
yep,
Anywhere.
yep, and it and it
Love
and it
it.
spells out everything. Yeah, so it spells out everything. It has contact info, name, what's wrong with the vehicle, plate number, information, where it needs to go, where it's at. It's super spelled out, and then that's been a unique one that we've gotten quite a bit of work from because we've found some of the local dealerships, their service writers don't even want to call and talk to you. So if they can just sit behind their computer and request you to go tow a Ford Focus or whatever it is, it automatically it rings through our dispatch system. We accept the call, we send a driver. That's been a unique one that I didn't think we'd get much out of, but it surprisingly and I've said that to them. I'm when I go, they're like, Shelly said I can talk to bark off a tree. When I go and I ask these guys, I'm like, you guys like using that? And they're like, oh yeah, it's great. It saves us so much time. We don't got to call, potentially sit on hold or anything like that. We just punch it all in and we know that within an hour or two the car's going to be in our lot.
Incredible, Jason. Thank you so much for all this amazing feedback and your testimony with your experience with it. It's just absolutely invaluable. So
Oh,
thank
it's great.
you.
I push your guys' product like
How
it's drugs. Like I push it on everybody.
I love it. I love it.
how wise for you to recognize that once you bought that light duty tow truck, your volume of transaction is going to skyrocket. And unless you were on some sort of digital platform, your paperwork would also skyrocket, right?
Right. And I knew that with my
Yeah.
past experience and it was so impossible to keep organized and like
You're like,
there was
I do
nothing
not
that
want to do this. Yes.
right. There was nothing that drove me more insane when I jump in a truck and you'd see an invoice from 2 weeks ago that never got submitted because the driver forgot to take it out of a clipboard or
Mm.
there's money in the center console of a truck and you're like, what job does this go to? And it was like just it worked prior to
Mhm.
technology because that was the only option you have.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
now with the world we live in, I cannot imagine. I joke all the time and don't do this, but like I said all the time, like if you guys raised your rates to 500 a month, I'd pay it because like it's priceless to me. It's so I'd figure out a way to offset it. And you find a way to offset it. And that's what some people are like, I can't justify spending the money. It's like, we'll find a way to offset it. You find a way to utilize the
Yes.
software or to offset
Our
it.
our founder of Dispatch Anywhere Beacon, Todd Althouse, often says that the software should pay for itself. You should find creative ways, like you mentioned, for the software to pay for itself.
But and I would argue that it already pays for itself. You don't even need to find a way to offset it because when you think about how organized you can be and all the presets and how much time you save, that it pays for itself. I can send 5 calls to a driver right now and I don't even have to call him and stop him from working, stop him from alongside the highway because he knows when he jumps in the trucks and grabs his phone, he's going to see the next call waiting, the next call waiting, the next call waiting. I cannot fathom not running a software. The huge thing for me is like not even that we've had any problems with it, but when I have questions, yesterday, for example, at 10 or 11 yesterday morning, I had a driver go do a call for somebody. He ran a credit card, and it said it was blocked, and it was for insufficient funds the first time. He ran it the second time, it said it was blocked. The third time he ran it, it said improper zip. So,
Hmm.
but he physically was standing next to the guy. They sent me the screenshot of the guy's bank account.
Mhm.
It showed that it pulled that money from his bank account. He's a local gentleman. We know who he is. So I told our driver, go ahead, go on to the next call. I said, I will call our dispatch software and I'll call him and see what's going on. Or, maybe we did something wrong. I called and within 5 minutes, I had an answer for what had happened. Here we had punched in the wrong zip code. It did a pending charge on the guy's card. It's going to reimburse it within 24 hours. We can either run it again or run it tomorrow, whatever. I mean, that's been the huge thing for me is when we have questions, I get answers. I get bombarded with answers.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I forget what it was a couple months ago, but I had to laugh. Oh, it was the towing. We were setting our stuff up, and I think I emailed Nick about a question, and then it got forwarded to Rocco, and then I don't know who it got forwarded from there, but I mean,
Probably Dan.
I
Yeah.
within 30 minutes, I had like
Wow.
6 emails. My phone was ringing, and I'm like, I was like,
Y'all need to
this
calm
is
down.
Yeah, I'm like, this is, but I mean, it's huge. That's what's been huge for me is like you can talk to a human,
Mhm.
they treat you like a human. And I told Nick when I was like doing the onboarding, I was like, listen, talk to me like I'm stupid. Like break this down, talk to like you're not gonna offend me. Talk to me like I'm stupid because I don't, when it comes to technology, like I understand it, but I don't understand it.